Hey guys, Martin here bringing another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and so today we're going to talk about Cell Max coming out on JP tomorrow. At the time that this video goes up, it will be 10 PM UK time. His banner comes out in 11 hours over on the JP side, so 9 AM UK time. The normal time the banners and events come out on JP. I'm sure if you are a JP player, you're used to that, depending where you are, like which time zone you're in, you're used to what the usual time is. It's going to be the same time that the details were tweeted out for him on Twitter. If you're someone who does follow the news and stuff like that, you guys probably know, like I say, if you're a JP player, it's the normal time that banners and stuff come out. So LR Cell Max is the new yellow coin LR releasing part 2 of the Rose celebration, and he looks very, very good. I've seen a few clips posted after the data download from the private server of this guy going absolutely crazy. You know, a screenshot with, I think it's from the active skill turn where he has like 14 million defense or something, which, bearing in mind the fact that this guy has 30% damage reduction, he would be invincible. There's not a single attack in the game that would do any damage to him at that point. So this guy seems very crazy. We talked about his details the other day. I'm not going to go into huge detail here. He's a yellow coin LR, so of course he has 2 categories, artificial life forms or super bosses, that he leads for 4 key and 150% to stats. Not something people are really going to be using as a leader much, but that's kind of how it is with yellow coin LRs these days. You're mainly summoning for them in order to get them and put them on other teams, right? And of course, for this guy, the big thing is the Super Bosses team, right? Super Bosses gets this massive crazy buff from this guy. As long as you have 1 artificial life form or Super Boss ally on the team, you get the entrance animation. He gets a whole bunch of extra attack and defense. He has guard, and he gets an additional attack that has a high chance to be a super for those 3 turns. He gets 5 key and 300% attack and defense. Each time he attacks, he gets extra key and extra attack. Each time he receives an attack, he gets extra key and extra defense. And then he gets an additional attack with a high chance to become a super. If all allies in the turn are artificial life forms, super bosses, or movie bosses, he gets an extra 250% defense and the 30% damage reduction. And then if there's no superhero allies on the turn, which is very unlikely you're going to have him on the same team as superheroes, he gets an extra 250% attack and 30% chance to crit. If he gets hit first, he gets an additional super guaranteed in the turn as well. So obviously on the active skill turn, he draws all attacks to him, so he'll be getting that buff. Like, he is just insane. He is a pure damage dealing monster of a unit. So the question, of course, and the point of the video is summon or skip. Now for JP, bear in mind, of course, we are getting to the end of June here. We will be getting, the next thing on JP should be the Tanabata celebration. Now, I know a lot of people have been a bit disillusioned with the Tanabata LR because of the Super Saiyan 4 Goku and how he aged after his release. And bear in mind that the Tanabata LR always returns for the first time featured on the Saiyan Day banner. And of course, the last 2 years in a row, the Saiyan Day unit has come out and basically been the best TY in the game. So it's pretty much been like a go-to summon for players. And then of course the Tanabata LR will not only be on that banner but be available with red coins. So obviously we have no idea what the Tanabata unit is going to be. 2 years ago it was Vegeta and Trunks, and they came out and were the best unit in the game, and people considered them to be the best unit in the game for quite some time. So this year the Tanabata unit could be on that level again, where they are like on the level of Beast Gohan or even better and considered the best unit in the game. So of course, if you've just dropped all of your stones on the Cell Max banner, then probably end up going to be a little bit disappointed. And of course, not to forget that Tanabata not only has the Dokkan Fest LR, but then the part 2 with a Carnival LR as well. Now, the big difference is that both of those banners are just normal banners, whereas this is a legendary summon banner, yellow coin, which means, of course, it does have the new pity system. I did a video earlier today talking about the JP data download where we went over all the stuff, and obviously that confirms that there is the new pity coin because each one is numbered and unique to each banner. So this will have the pity system. Now, if we take a look over here, I'm going to switch over to the wiki view and take a look at, this was the Ginyu Force banner. So this was the last yellow coin banner that came out on JP. And you can see here the featured units, because remember, we don't know what all the featured units are going to be for this one. The featured units were Ginyu, of course, and then we had Ribrienne, Rosie, and Kakunsa, which was actually the last yellow coin LR released before Captain Ginyu on JP. And then Bojack, which is a very random choice for a featured LR, like a much older LR, one that already has an EZA. I guess the only real relevant thing is they're on Space Traveling Warriors together, but the Ginyu Force unit themselves very much relying on being built around a special pose team. So very weird. Like Bojack doesn't really fit the theme of the banner very well. I guess that's why Vegeta and Nappa are on here too. But yeah, in terms of the other unfeatured, like the featured SSRs, I've got a couple of what units I want to talk about here that could potentially be the other featured like LRs, because there's always going to be two other LRs featured. But when it comes to the SSRs, I really don't know who's going to be, like, it could just be random Gohans and Piccolos and stuff, maybe, because if you think about the superhero movie characters, the only superhero movie characters in Dokkan that we have so far are either Dokkan Fest LRs or Carnival LRs. So they're not going to be featured on this banner. So all of these other random SSRs, like, is it going to be some random cells? Is it going to be like Ultimate Gohan? But like, you know, even the oldest, like even the newest unfeatured Ultimate Gohan is like, I don't even know which one it is, super old, right? So the featured SSRs on this banner, very likely to be bad, unless of course they just make them not related to the banner at all and not related to the theme. I guess of course the units could be super bosses or artificial life forms based, and then we're just going to get a bunch of random like Zamasus. Maybe Cells could be on there, some other androids. The banner's going to be very strange, but I think with Yellow Coin LRs, like no one is summoning on this banner, right, when Ginyu came out, to get any of these other unfeatured SSRs. You could argue like Raccoon Guldo, obviously good for running that Ginyu Force team build, but you're not really summoning for the other units on the banner anyway, right? You're summoning for the main LR, and hopefully the other two featured LRs are good. Now, the thing is, this banner, I don't know whether, because this Ginyu banner had Ribrienne, I don't know if the Cell Max banner will have Ginyu, because if we look at the timeline, Ginyu came out in April in JP, so that was only like 2 months ago, right? Almost to the day, right? 2 months that Ginyu came out. Whereas Ribrienne, Rosie, and Cocoonsa came out in October, which means there was over 6 months between these two yellow coin banners. So these guys returning featured on the Ginyu Force banner makes a lot more sense, because obviously they're, you know, they were 6 months apart. Whereas this banner only coming out 2 months after the release of Captain Ginyu, I can't really say for sure whether Ginyu would be featured, whether it's too soon for him to return, because we saw a lot of units like LR Bulma, for example, didn't return on like the next yellow coin banner that came out after her release. So it's very possible that Ginyu won't be on there. They could always throw Ribrienne, Rosie, and Cocoonsa on there again. But the other options that I had in mind is obviously Super Bosses is the team that really benefits from this Cell Max release. You want to run a full like Super Bosses team with him anyway. Cell Max is a big bad bosses unit, so the team build with like the physical Rose or the Tech Zamasu obviously gets a nice buff. Another very strong character with big bad bosses, especially on some of his turns. If he's fully built up or you're using the active skill, he can go in slot 1, which is very useful as Tech Zamasu's damage reduction wears off, or for Rose, because realistically Rose doesn't really want to be in slot 1 unless you know there's not going to be a super. So potentially a Super Bosses character will be featured as the other LR. So in terms of yellow coin LRs, bear in mind that Bojack had an EZA and was on the Ginyu banner, so I'm expecting at least one of the units to have an EZA. So we've got characters like the Int Rose, who is still pretty usable on these big teams, especially when you get a domain up with either Rose or the Tech Zamasu. Like, this guy can still be pretty good. He has his EZA, so he can be decent on the banner. Like, he'll share, you know, big bad bosses is the big one, but Cell Max's links are a bit weird. But we're gonna have at the end of the day big bad bosses, fierce battle, and legendary power, which is decent enough for these guys. And obviously the other units on the team can supplement the links for this guy if Cell Max was going to be in slot 1. We do also have these guys, of course, who got their EZA during the anniversary and are a very, very good unit on the Super Bosses team, and also a Big Bad Bosses character. So these guys being featured on the banner would be a massive bonus as well. And then the other one, of course, that I picked out was this guy. Int Zamasu LR could be on there as well. He doesn't have an EZA, so he's a much, much older one. So I guess in theory, like, he has a bit less value. I'm not really sure in the meta, though, at the moment, who you'd say is probably better between these guys and Int Zamasu. Because at least these guys do have guard for a few turns. But both of them, of course, a bit outdated for the current meta. But Super Boss's Yellow Coin LR, I could easily see one of these three guys being featured on the Cell Max banner. And then, of course, Cell Max can also be built around artificial life forms as well. But there's not as many Yellow Coin LRs. Like Super 17, without his EZA, probably one of the worst units on this list, potentially. So in terms of Yellow Coin LRs, there's the Baby, and he is a Big Bad Boss's character. So again, like Rose, Big Bad Boss's legendary power, although sadly he's a Shattering the Limit character. Baby could be featured on there. And then, of course, the other one is the Cell and Cell Juniors. Very outdated at this point, so probably not an ideal option to be on the banner. But he will share some links. It's going to end up being Big Bad Boss's Life, Fierce Battle and Legendary Power again. But yeah, the featured units on the banner definitely could be hit or miss. I think best case scenario, if you wanted the banner to have as much value as possible, if you wanted to summon, is probably for it to be like the Broly trio and then Int Rose, I guess, because then you really can, if you end up pulling all three of the featured LRs, you've got some decent, like, all of them can be run on a Super Boss's team, basically. Like, Int Rose can still get caught with supers. The Broly trio are going to be relying on orbs, but on their best turns are really, really good. So, like, if you pulled these guys off of the banner and then Cell Max, like, you're already going to have a very decent-looking Super Boss's team, especially with the physical Goku Black Super EZA and all that kind of stuff. So, Cell Max banner, it will be similar to this kind of format. It's a yellow coin with the pity coins. I got super lucky with Ultimate Gohan's banner with part 2 of Golden Week, and I ended up getting him in, well, JP doesn't get the ticket packs, which did give some extra coins, so I'd have to factor in a couple of extra multis for that. But I ended up basically getting Gohan in about 600 to 700 stones. I ended up pulling like 3 copies and got enough coins to get the pity one. So obviously if you pull him earlier, you don't have to worry about going all the way to pity unless you want to get a dupe. But it kind of all depends. If you're somebody who has a lot of the unfeatured SSRs already rainbowed, so you're going to be able to trade in and get a lot of extra pity coins, then you're potentially going to be able to get Cell Max a lot easier. And remember that each of the 3 multis, every third multi up to, how many times is it? So like 7 times you can do that. So it's up to like the 21st multi or something like that. Every third multi is guaranteed featured. So if you just pull Cell Max on the 3rd multi, you can just cash out those pity coins for yellow coins and boom, you've got Cell Max. If you want to go for dupes, obviously that's up to you, or you can wait to see what's coming for the Tanabata. But Cell Max definitely is a very good unit. If you're a fan of villains and villain teams and a fan of super bosses, we finally got a new very strong villain character. So Cell Max, I would say, is certainly not an easy skip. If you want to see what's coming for Tanabata, then obviously hold fire on summoning. I don't know if we'll find out who the Tanabata unit will be before Cell Max's banner goes away. So obviously that is something you have to bear in mind. But if you are a Super Bosses enjoyer, Broly team, Rose team, all that stuff, like Cell Max is definitely a great unit to add to that roster. So let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. If you are on JP, are you summoning? You're going to go all the way to pity? You're just going to try and get a copy and then stop regardless? Let me know your thoughts on the banner, who's going to be featured, all of that stuff. Let me know in the comment section. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out all the links down below, and I'll see you all again soon. Have a good one.